Welcome everybody for the webinar about a security audit with IP Fabric in under an hour. Welcome everyone. My name is Milan. I'm from IP Fabric Solution Architect, and with me here is Christian.
Hello, I'm Christian, also Solution Architect here at IP Fabric, and welcome to our webinar. Happy to show you around.
Yeah, so let's get started. So about the IP Fabric, very shortly, because for those new to IP Fabric, think of us as creating a digital model of your entire network infrastructure. We automatically discover and map the state of every device connection and create context. And we also capture configuration and state data across your environment, whether it's on premises, in the cloud, or hybrid. Unlike traditional monitoring tools that only show you what's happening right now, IP Fabric gives you a complete understanding of how your network is designed, configured, and behaves. This comprehensive visibility becomes the foundation for everything we will discuss today about security and compliance. And more to say is that maybe 9 out of 10 CIOs like a unified view of their infrastructure, which opens organizations up to breaches and compliance issues. And with IP Fabric, we are trying to solve this fundamental challenge. IP Fabric transforms network security by giving you unprecedented visibility into your security posture. At first, we automatically collect and analyze all your management protocol configurations like AAA settings, SNMP community, syslog configuration, giving you a complete protocol inventory for device hardening. Think about that way, that management protocols are the ultimate gateway to your network infrastructure. Second, our platform can simulate network path end-to-end, showing you exactly how the traffic flows through your network, including your ACLs, and we also understand the security policies that will affect the traffic or policy-based routing rules. This means that you can test the security before changes before implementing them, or validate your segmentation, whether it is working as intended, and identify potential security gaps. All of this discovered data becomes intelligence that you can leverage for the network hardening. And finding the weak points or ensuring consistent security policies and proving compliance with security frameworks becomes very standard and easier to achieve. In the version 7.2, which is the main focus throughout this webinar, we significantly enhanced our firewall capabilities. We now can provide detailed simulation of next generation firewall behavior, including URL filtering rules and threat feed configurations. And this is crucial because modern firewalls do much more than just allow or deny traffic anymore. Those are not just expanded ACLs. They are making complex decisions based on application awareness and URL categories or threat intelligence. IP Fabric now collects this data directly from your firewalls and can simulate its behavior in our digital twin. And we've also added support for transparent firewalls. Those security devices that organizations often lose track of because they don't change IP address on routing by design. In the version 7.2, we provide detailed mapping and documentation of IPSec tunnels as well, which are crucial for understanding how data are encrypted in secure communication channels, as is required by the frameworks like ISO or regulations like DORA or NIS2. And thank you for staying with us throughout this brief presentation. And now I would like to pass the word to Christian, who will show you some very concrete examples in the way how you can achieve your goals with the current version. Thank you.
Yeah, many thanks, Milan. And I would like to start to talk about the enhanced intent checks. So basically, in the past, an intent check was always based on a specific table. So you could select columns of the table and define specific entries yeah, as a success or as a warning or as an error. But sometimes this was not enough, because sometimes you had that information. Okay, I have SNMP configured, ACL is not empty. That's great. But just as an example, if you want to understand on which kind of device do I have it, or do I have it on specific types of devices where I've added some attributes to it, it was not possible to do. This is now doable. So if I scroll down, as you can see, I can now select a different or additional information from the device table, or in this case, also add a device attribute. And now it will match this only against devices which contain the attribute I specify here. Let's say I put in ABC, if that is the name of the attribute. And now I can say if it contains the word checkpoint as an example, then it will show me or it will mark only the devices with that attribute, and where the access control list is not empty as successfully configured devices. All the others will be placed into other or no category, depending on how you continue to configure your intent check. But this gives you unprecedented freedom to really build intent checks in a higher accuracy, and get the data you want to have. Ilan,
By the way,
you want to add something?
for those who are not really familiar with IP Fabric, what we are achieving right now is that first, the attributes are labels that you can assign to devices based on your own logic or principles within your CMDB or your organization. And to be able to filter by the device vendor, platform, or even operating system wasn't possible in the previous releases. And it's basically, we are cross-referencing the network inventory data with any table or information about a technology that we collect in IP Fabric, and we are combining with the intent rules. So whether you are applying a specific rules just to certain categories of devices based on your labels, it's right now doable. Or whether you are applying your rules based on a specific vendor or site, it's also available right now.
Thanks for this addition. Okay, let's now take a look on how we can visualize the IPsec tunnels. Of course, we do have a table where you can see all your IPsec tunnels, the state of your tunnel, is it up, is it down, which encryption are you running, and all of that. But in the past, it wasn't possible to see them in the diagram. And I've chosen this diagram where you can see quite a few firewalls. And now I would like to show you how quickly and easily you can show inside the diagram where are my IPsec tunnels, so you can visualize them. And I'm just removing layer 1 and layer 2 information, ungrouping the layer 3 information, as it's usually condensed into one single line inside this diagram. And now I'm selecting the IPsec tunnel. So I just want to see where are my IPsec tunnels. I don't care about the routing protocols, the default gateway, and all of that. I just care about the IPsec tunnels. And when I click the submit button, he shows me I have here my IPsec environment, so I can easily spot where are the interconnections, which firewalls are using secure communication, and tunnel the data, so I can really understand where do I need to expand maybe my IPsec environment, my VPN environment, or maybe where are tunnels which may be of no use probably, and which can be removed.
Yeah, by the way, for those who are not familiar with the previous versions of the IP Fabric, just to clarify, we already collected in the past information about the IPsec tunnels and the gateways, and it was already present in our technology table in a very great detail. What's changed right now is that before 7.2, we were not creating the logical connection in the map, in the visual topologies, which right now we enabled in 7.2 version.
Yep. Okay, and now let's take a look at how we work with or take a look at our enhanced firewall capabilities. So in the past, we had this, if you wanted to check, can I reach the internet using HTTPS, you enter source, any destination. In this case, I just use the DNS of Google to simulate an IP address. And you click the submit button and you see the path. Okay, I'm hitting the internet. The firewall is letting me pass, all is good. But what if you have a URL filter and you want to understand, are specific URLs reachable or not? So, and in this case, we added this functionality. So now you can work with site categories and or URL or domains. And if I use just as an example, this URL, if I add to it, so I didn't change anything at source or destination or the protocol, I just added this URL. And now if I hit the submit button, I get a different result. So the firewall is blocking that URL. It's not letting me pass through, even though the protocol is the same, nothing has changed. And if I need some details, again, I can use the path inspector, which is automatically showing you which data are we using as source, destination, and all of that, including also the routing information, but also which firewall rule has been hit. And clicking on it shows me the firewall rule so I can understand what's going on. And therefore, why is my traffic blocked or not? And let's do the test. If I change the URL to a good URL and hit the submit button, again, I get a different result, zooming out. So it's really focusing on the URL which has been entered and which is not allowed to be accessed. I think this shows quite well how we have incorporated this into our solution. And of course, if you want to work with categories, you can also work with categories here. You want to add something, Milan, or are we good?
Not this point, thank you, Christian. But the only thing may be that in the previous versions, we could understand very well this simulation from source to a URL as a destination. In that case, we had to be able to match the URL to a specific destination IP, but we were completely unaware of any rules that include the URL filtering. And with the 7.2 version, that changed.
Yeah. Okay, and now let's create a small, or let's give a small sneak peek. So what's what also is already added to IP Fabric is the creation of manual links, which allows you to incorporate your layer 2 filtering into our solution. And as it's usually not that easy to discover it and place the devices, a transparent firewall is a transparent device, obviously. So we have built in this feature that you can add these devices and the links to it manually. So you select the device you want to have, and as you can see, I've already prepared something, but just to show you quickly, you select the device you want to have, you select the appropriate interface, you define, is it a layer 1 or layer 2 connection, which is present, and after you have created this link, you run your snapshot. We will discover the device and then also incorporate this link into the view. And again, I've prepared it already. So the link I've created manually And I didn't want to torture you watching a snapshot being taken. So everything is prepared. Here you can see that's the manual link I have entered. So it's visualized. You can now understand, okay, where is my transparency hiding, basically.
Yeah, maybe a little clarification why this is a little sneak peek, because we can already discover transparent firewalls starting version 7.2. Uh, Let me say this: transparent firewalls are always a challenging environment, and they have their own goals. Of course, there are IPS gateways, and they have other functions, and they're essential in some places. We have a great discovery engine, but for us, even for our great discovery engine, they are hard to discover. They are hard to understand, especially the way how they connect to other environments. If they are connected to ACI leaves or other environment, they require some IPS filtering. So we thought a long time about how to resolve that issue and how to understand what interfaces of the transparent firewalls are in reality connected to our environment. And we came out with the concept of creating the manual links. There are two types of manual links. One is layer one, which will only appear as a map on a map, like a standard like CDP or LDP connection with no real traffic functionality. And then we can also create a layer two links that will help us to really use the transparent firewalls as throughout the traffic path simulations. So that's for the future. It will be available starting version 7.3, which is going to be released, I would say, quite soon. And since then, you will be able to discover your transparent firewalls. You'll be able to create connections to your environment and use them for the path simulations as well, which is the ultimate goal.
Mhm. Yeah, and I would like to, and I've just seen Madeline already put it in the chat, but if there are any questions, feel free to submit them in the Q&A section. And I see a question, are compliance checks a point in time or are they continuously monitored? So our compliance checks are based on the intent checks, and the intent checks are applied on every snapshot. So whenever we discover a network, we gather all the data, we apply the desired state of the network and match it against the state that we just collected and show you where there are mismatches or where you need to improve your network to be compliant, and where are you already successfully matching the requirements of any given regulation, being NIS2, being a DORA, PCI, you name it, basically. And as you can create now even more powerful checks, intent checks, this gives you even better detail in regards to compliance. So let's see. Okay, I see there's another one in the Q&A section. Milan, you
Yeah,
want to take
I
it?
see I see the question. Can IP Fabric handle automated path simulations over tunnels when there are multiple sources and multiple destinations at scale? Well, that's a great question. Thank you for that. So, the way the IP Fabric operates is that you can use the UI. And of course, there's a limit, because if you're a UI user, you can only, at a certain time, you can only simulate one thing, or you can open multiple tabs and simulate many things, but that doesn't scale really well. What our customers are sometimes using is that they are leveraging our API capabilities, because anything you can do in the UI in terms of path simulation, data extraction, and so on, you can also operate over API. And the API scales very, very well. So we have use cases where a customer wanted to test if the firewall was implemented correctly, which means the test included 50 or it can be 200 different sources there was one certain destinations, and they wanted to verify that all the 200 simulations were always traversing the firewall with the exact source interface and destination interface, and to be using the correct policy. So they leverage our API capabilities. They use it over the API, and they simulated 200 different simulations over API and got the result within a couple of minutes by using our engine. So it can be pretty quick. So yes, the API simulation can scale very well, but you need to leverage our API.
And there's another one. Will there be selectable example intent checks such as the ones you had in mind when developing this, or are supposed to dream up how to utilize these new features in the best way ourselves? As we are usually supporting you with our customer success team, of course, we will support you in developing the right intent checks for your purposes, as these enhanced capabilities, especially when it comes to the attributes, we can't create some pre-configured attribute-based intent checks, as these are really unique to your environment. So it will be very hard to create something upfront, but we will always support you, our customers, in enhancing what they have, using, of course, the knowledge we have, as we are really working together with you, and of course, also showing you how to use it, where to use it, where does it make sense, what's the experience we see, and stuff like that. So you don't have to dream them up yourselves. We will support you in building them.
Yeah, thank you, Jose. I would only maybe add other part for it. The intent rules we saw in the presentations was specifically related to the attributes or to the capability that we can now use attributes as an additional filter in the intent checks. However, there are already like more than 100 plus best practice intent rules inside IP Fabric by default. But the attributes are a little bit special because attributes are, as Christian pointed out, they are a very specific thing for every environment because every customer defines their attribute differently. So it's a custom thing. However, what I would recommend is not really try to think about the attributes or providing multiple intent rules based on the attributes in the UI. What we are always recommending is to create a set of rules outside of IP Fabric on a places like Git, where you can really think about how to think about of programmatic compliance. And from there, you can easily pick up the rules and you can leverage that and populate all the attributes and all the intent rules into IP Fabric over API from the source of your compliance programmatic database. So that's the way that we are trying to promote, is that every customer first create their own concepts of the compliance and their own rules, let's say, on paper or on Git, and then programmatically pushes that through to IP Fabric, which allows for more manageability, I would say. For the second question, which I'm seeing from Desmond Chan, thank you for that. The question is, can we define a generic router or gateway that is not being supported by IP Fabric? Unfortunately, I know where it's coming from. We can right now create a manual link, which in fact is not generated by the discovery. So you may think that we can also add a devices, or we can add a concept of adding virtual devices or gateway that are in fact not available in the snapshot. Unfortunately, this is not possible as of now, but possibly we will think about it in the future. Thank you for that.
And there's another one. Are there published examples, white papers of utilizing the API for mass testing the firewall rules, as you referenced earlier in the Q&A answer? I'm
Yeah.
curious to know more about that.
Yeah, great question. Thanks for that. We have examples internally based on our interaction with our customer. Unfortunately, there's no white papers yet, but we can always, we are happy to share that information once we formalize that or those scripts that we use with the customer, so it doesn't contain any code that we cannot share. But long story short, we are only really leveraging our SDK to do that. And all the documentations our SDK is available online. But in any case, feel free to get in touch, and we are more than happy then follow up on that. It's not that complicated.
Okay, I would say let's wait another minute or two if some questions come up.
Okay, let me start the wrap up, or the way you say it. Again, thanks everybody for participating. Thanks everyone joining the webinar and listening. Thanks for the question. Thanks to Madeline, who made the webinar possible. Thanks to Christian.
Yeah, many thanks from me as well.